Other interesting business news, you have T-Mobile issuing the first ever dividend to the stockholders. Now, dividends are one of the most important things you can give out as a publicly traded company. There are whole ecosystems of stock reviewers, stock followers, forums. There are whole communities built around just the idea of following and buying companies that pay dividends. Now, rudimentarily speaking, a dividend is where, let's say I buy 10 shares of T-Mobile stock at, who knows, $3 a share, whatever they're at right now. So if they give a dividend of 20 cents per share, that means I would get 20 cents per share. So if I have 3 cents, or if I have 3 shares and it's 20 cents per share, that's 3 times, what is that? We'll do a bit. I know public schools for math, test scores are all-time low. So let's see, it's 20 cents times 3 is 2, 4, 6. 60 cents total will be given to me just for holding the stock. Now, there's an old-fashioned, or rather an age-old debate when it comes to paying dividends versus keeping the company inside of the company. There's a lot of people who would argue, well, if I'm holding this stock, I want it to be a long-term thing. I want to sell it eventually. I'd rather have that money go into research and development and have that reinvest in the company. On the contrast, there are other philosophies that think, well, we want to reward the people who continually hold our stock because obviously when they sell the stock, that hurts us because it brings the stock price down. So there are conflicting ideals, but it is a very attractive thing for people buying stock to see the dividends. I think more often than not, that's what some people look for. Now, I'm not saying they're forced to do this, but their competition is already doing it. So you look at the telecom community, telecommunications, you have AT&T, which is a giant behemoth, of course, and you also have Verizon, another giant behemoth. T-Mobile, for the longest time, they've been the third string, so to say, and it's not that AT&T or Verizon are sure bets. I mean, their stock has dropped precipitously the past couple of years, but they've always been around, so to say. So one of the things that keeps people investing in those companies is that they keep paying dividends. Last year, in total dividends, AT&T paid out $8 billion. Now, granted, that might only be a couple dollars or cents per share, but presumably people who invest in stocks, they have many shares. So over the aggregate, that adds up. Now, Verizon paid even more. They paid $11 billion in stock dividends last year, which is an astronomical amount of money. Again, I always say I'm not a financial guru, and I'm definitely not giving financial advice here. I'm just saying, dang, I wish I had some of their stock, perhaps. Now, just the news, just announcing, saying, hey, we're going to give out dividends, this helped T-Mobile. Their stock actually shot up 4% last Thursday. And that's because I think a lot of people are going to buy the stock just based on that one fact alone. As I said, again, there's many forums that list stocks just based on the fact that they pay dividends, and they will sort it by, usually the percentage of dividend paid or just the dollar amount, which one's paying the largest amount as well. Now, it looks like the company, or rather T-Mobile, is doing a $18 billion stock buyback program, so the company certainly believes that their stock is worth more than what's publicly trading for, presumably, so that's why they're buying it what they see now as a discount for it to go up in the future. And it looks like they're setting aside $3.75 billion pool of cash to actually be paid out for the dividends over the next 5 fiscal quarters. So that looks like it's pretty good. It looks like the money's already set aside. They don't need to worry about that money being taken away from research and development or customer service. So it looks like the money is there, and they're going to consistently reward people for holding the stock. Because obviously you only get paid the dividends if you own the stock. Once you sell it, that's gone. Now, there's a little bit of critique on the internet because this news is coming. You might know if you tuned in a couple days ago. This is coming after the company just laid off about 5,000 of their employees. Now, the good thing for the people working at the individual outlet stores is that for them, their jobs were more secure. Most of the jobs that were let go, unfortunately, were more the corporate jobs, and I believe most of them were customer support. So unfortunately, those jobs have been displaced, and hopefully they find gainful employment at one of the competitors, perhaps, somewhere they could utilize those skill sets that they learned when they were working at T-Mobile. Now, that was about 7% of their workforce, and I don't think that's going to be too detrimental, or I don't think that's going to scare off too many investors, partially because we've seen every company do this. I mean, everyone from mom and pop shops to Google and Microsoft. Some of the largest companies and the smallest companies, they're all doing layoffs because they're trying to get more efficient. And not all the time, but I would say many of the time, one of the issues with larger companies is that there's a lot of fat there. There's a lot of fat you could trim away. And there are many people who have jobs for the sake of having jobs. I used to work at one of the largest tech companies on the planet, and there were several instances where people just had a job for the sake of having a job. It was ridiculous to witness, and not all too surprising because there just wasn't enough oversight, and there's just a gut of just way too many positions that really were not needed, that didn't add value to the company, which is something you need to be very strategic about when you're growing a business and maintaining a business. Is think about every single employee. How are they adding value to it? And be consistent in your evaluation, because over time, some positions change. Some are worth more, some are worth less. And with technology and the global economy, some things move. Some positions might not make any sense to have anymore. So it's something they need to constantly reevaluate. And I don't think a lot of the larger companies do that. Now with all the economic uncertainty and 40-year hyperinflation, that's forcing companies to be more efficient, because they're trying to make those dollars, which the government actually ruins by inflation, but they're trying to stretch those dollars further and further. So I think that's why we're seeing more of these layoffs, and unfortunately I don't think we're going to see them letting up anytime soon, although I do hope everyone is able to find gainful employment at a new location soon. But it'll be interesting to see. I think T-Mobile, they're off to a good path. It'll be interesting to see, can they ever overtake the behemoths of Verizon and AT&T? It takes several years and a lot of good things happening for them, but most likely not, but I think they're on a good path. Thank you everyone for taking the time to tune in. Again, I know it's ambitious, but we're trying to get to 4,000 subscribers by the end of September, so if you click that button, I would greatly appreciate it. Also, I really appreciate the feedback as we try to make the show better and better. Slowly but surely, perhaps, getting better at my enunciation and slowing down my speech patterns, as many of you in the comments noted that was something you did not appreciate and you wanted me to work on. So that's something where we're working together to make this show better and better. Also, don't forget to tell your family, tell your friends, tell your coworkers, heck, tell your enemies, tell anyone and everyone. Just stay safe, fight the good fight.